Hey everybody, Professor Moriarty here, and welcome to a segment I like to call Summer Nights at the Movies Triple Feature. So I realized that it's been a while since my channel intro video, and like I said in that video, my work schedule was going to be a little busy, and it has been. Not only that, but I've also been busy with trying to get stuff ready for school also. So I haven't really had that much time to work on videos. However, I have had some time to go out and see some of the big summer blockbuster movies of this season. And because school is going to start soon for me, I haven't really had that much time to film and edit a bunch of more in-depth videos on the movies that I've seen this season. So for timing purposes, I'm basically going to do a brief vlog review of some of the movies that I've seen over the summer. So the first feature on our list is Avengers: Age of Ultron. I know that a lot of people were saying that this movie wasn't really as good as the first Avengers movie, or even as some of the movies that followed it, or even came before this one, like Captain America: Winter Soldier and Guardians of the Galaxy. A lot of people were saying that those two movies were much better than this, but it wasn't really as bad as I thought. It really did have some problems with the story. The story definitely felt very, very jumbled, and it seemed like there were a lot of different references that were put into this simply to get people hyped and ready for both Captain America: Civil War as well as Phase 3 itself, seeing as how they have their entire lineup coming up and everything. It just really felt like this was becoming a trailer for Phase 3, much like how Iron Man 2 was simply just a trailer for the first Avengers. However, there were some good things about this movie that I really did like. I liked the fact that they gave more character development to some characters, not all of them, but some characters, especially some of the side characters, like Hawkeye and Captain America, and they even gave some more development to some of the new characters also, like Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. And they even gave some more depth and more background to Black Widow, which is something that a lot of people were actually looking forward to since the first Avengers. But even with that said, I really didn't think that this movie was as good as the first Avengers movie, or Guardians of the Galaxy for that matter. I really wanted to enjoy this movie more so than the first Avengers and Guardians of the Galaxy also, but it just really wasn't. I wanted to like it a lot more, but I just couldn't bring myself to like it as much. I did enjoy it for what it was, but I just wanted to enjoy it a lot more. So in the end, I'm giving Avengers: Age of Ultron a B+. So the second feature on our list is Jurassic World. I'm just gonna real quick go through some of the stuff that I really did like about this. For one thing, I really, really loved the production design in this movie. The park itself looked so realistic and so very detailed that it honestly just made me want this park to actually exist. Like, I honestly wanted this park to be an actual thing, be an actual place that people would love to go to and just marvel at what is left of the prehistoric era. And some of the characters in this movie were enjoyable in how very cliched and kind of illogical and sometimes even idiotic, let's be honest. I just honestly felt that they were enjoyable in that sense. But the one role that stood out the most to me was Vincent D'Onofrio as the villain. He just honestly had that villainous charm to him. That honestly reminds me of villains from like the late 80s, early to mid 90s, and just every scene that he was in, I could not stop laughing. He was just that funny and enjoyable. However, one of the things that I didn't like about this movie was the fact that they used a lot of CGI in this movie, especially for the dinosaurs themselves. I will give credit to the other two sequels before this movie, that those ones actually did use a lot of practical effects in in those movies. Whereas in this, they only used, I think, probably 2 scenes worth of practical effects. You can kind of see it, but at the same time, like, it's obvious that they CG'd over it, and so it's kind of hard to, like, to fully like see the practical effects in all their glory and everything. But I really would have loved to have seen a lot more practical effects. There was definitely a lot. I felt like there were other ways of making the practical effects work rather than just relying solely on the CGI. And in the end, I mean, there are so many different plot holes and so many different cliched moments in this movie that I think, honestly, the best way to look at this movie is to sort of visualize it and just go into this movie thinking that you're going to see, like, one of those classic disaster movies like Towering Inferno or Earthquake, and just all those different classic, corny disaster movies that were fun at the same time. And that's what this was. It was definitely a fun disaster movie. So in the end, I'm giving Jurassic World a C+. Okay, and now to the third feature of this list, Terminator Genisys. What can I honestly say about this movie? It's pretty obvious that this movie is Hollywood's attempt to basically try to reboot the Terminator franchise. Basically kind of like how J.J. Abrams had essentially rebooted the Star Trek franchise with his Star Trek reboots. You have some of the older characters from the franchise go back in time and sort of just rewrite the timeline from then on. I can understand where exactly these guys are coming from and why exactly they're trying to do this, but at the same time, it was just a failed attempt to reboot the series, and I just honestly didn't see what purpose that they had for trying to reboot the series at all. The characters in this movie are either completely wasted and just have no purpose in this movie, or they're either complete cardboard cutouts of themselves or complete parodies of themselves. And of course, because this is a time travel movie, of course you have a lot of science babble, and a lot of the rules and how exactly the timeline works and how time travel works also just completely makes no sense whatsoever, and it's completely confusing, and it just makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. So, really, what else is there that I can say about this movie? Terminator Genisys gets an F-. So this has been part 1 of the Summer Nights at the Movies triple feature. There are a few more movies that I've seen this summer, and I will cover those in the next video. And if you haven't seen these movies yet, guys, if they're still in theaters, definitely check them out. Except for Terminator Genisys, that one was awful. However, if you guys did see some of these movies, what did you guys think about them? Leave your comments down in the box below. And until then, guys, this is Professor Moriarty. Class dismissed.